There is substandard DVD blanks out there. They are out there. Okay, when you get a stack of 100 discs at $12 at Walmart, you're really kind of, it's like Russian roulette. You know, it's, yeah, you got 12 discs and you saved a whole bunch of money. But if your project, two things, some people say, and I heard some of our people at our seminars who, wedding and event professionals, you know, I mean, this is your work. How many hours did you spend and how much is the client paying for it? And you're saving, 16 cents or something. We highly recommend media from a particular vendor of ours who's a Casablanca friend. His name is David Adame, and he's with Reliant Digital. Reliant Digital. He's in Colorado. You could do a web search, Reliant Digital. Tell him Chet sent you. But he provides high-quality blank media, whether you're writable discs, rewritable discs, all the surfaces that you print directly on, the new watershed discs. He's into all of them. And if you see somewhere else where some competitor beats his prices by a few pennies, then talk to David. I mean, he is a business person, but the other thing to know is you also have support with David. Okay, and that's my little soapbox is be careful about shopping around to save a couple bits when it comes time for support after the sale, and that person at that box house in Brooklyn's not available to talk to. There's something to be said for paying a little bit more for service and support after the sale. So,
what's his name again?
Adame, A-D-A-M-E, but the company is Reliant Digital. Your Casablanca dealer can get media through him if you wish, or you can go direct. But David comes to some of our presentations. In fact, he'll be in Moline, Illinois, the end of March 26th through 30th, the March get-together, and the information on our website. But who have been to the March get-together here? I know that Keith has, and a couple people. I would recommend just touching base if you're looking to go for 3.5 days of not only Casablanca stuff, but also there's presentations on wedding and event videography and selling your business and leased access. I mean, there's lots of different stuff. But CB Paint, a great group of folks. Yes?
What days are the March one?
Monday, March 26th through Thursday, the 29th. You bet.
6 minutes from the airport, is this right?
Yeah.
Hotel, so it's really easy to get to.
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's cool. It's Moline. I'm sorry, but it's...
My home is 10 minutes from there.
There you go. Well, somebody from California would perceive it as in the middle of nowhere, but it's the home of John Deere tractors. Huh? John Deere Green. But it's a great time for people that have the opportunity to invest. And David will be there. But David also is big in ink caddies. And if you're an Epson, I just recently got an Epson 340, and these ink caddies save you tons of money, and it's really good stuff. But anyway, that's enough. But talk to David. Good people. All right. My DVD is not going to behave, so we'll move on. At the end of the day, I'll pretend like you're gone, then I'll put it in and it'll play. We're going to do a little bit of titling and then into audio as well. Unless there's a remaining question that lingers from this morning.
Oh, can I say one thing about DVD?
Yes.
If you go into compressed, I don't know if you found this, when you replay it through the Casablanca, just look at it. You know how you can go in and you can check it.
Compressed audio, you're saying?
It comes out and it says will not play audio or compressed. Really? When you go back into the Casablanca to review it before you burn it, you know what I mean? If you go into compressed audio.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. But it just says it cannot play the audio if you just look through it. Until you burn it on your DVD.
Okay.
Of course it plays the audio. You didn't know that, Chet?
I did not.
No?
I learned something today as well. I always do. Okay. Thank you.
On the subject of DVD compression again, and I hope I'm not going to get too specific here, but with the normal settings,
Yes.
I couldn't take a 1 hour and 48-minute project and put it on a normal DVD. Does that sound normal?
You're right in the zone.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of the MPEG-2 compression thing is weird. Sometimes you could get 2 hours. Sometimes you could get 1 hour and 38 minutes. It depends on how much motion, how much difference there is from scene to scene. What it's doing is it's only recording when there's a difference from one scene to the next scene.
Right.
And so a lot of different motion will require more data, and that's
And
you're in that.
The amount of effects and titling also is going to a preset data size, I would assume.
I would say yes, yeah, because you're therefore modifying the data. Yes.
Right, yeah, because I had a rolling credits at the end with background video that was 52 seconds long. Right?
Okay.
Up the wazoo, basically. So I figured that pushed it over.
That.
Same subject. What about, what's your opinion of burning a DVD in the best possible quality as a master?
You're better off going to disk transfer. Because anytime you're burning a DVD, an authored DVD, you're compressing it into MPEG-2. So an AVI file, an uncompressed AVI file, is much higher quality than is a compressed MPEG-2 DVD file.
And also, in connection with this, in your opinion, what's the best way of archiving?
Is that camera on? I feel like I'm... my opinion. Again, single projects or...
My life.
Yeah. At this point in time, really, I would say disk transfer.
Yeah.
And just document. It's a bit of a process initially, but once it's set, you can use a DVD duplicator to burn copies of it. Put one in your file cabinet at home, put one in the safe deposit vault at the bank. You can, and it's because it's so thin and small, you can really do a fine job of documenting.
Okay, and then what about, along the lines of that question, what about dual layer DVDs and the settings when you go to that? Because I don't have that program, the disk transfer. Does that have any effect on how much you can actually get archived?
Yeah, dual layer doubles it.
So you can get 40 minutes, essentially.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. In regards to that question,
Press computer, please.
My problem is I have programs with, say, 10 years, 15, maybe 20 years shelf life, uninterrupted broadcast. That truly is one's livelihood down the road.
Right.
And I've talked to museums about this, and they ain't
Yeah, that's you're getting into an area of philosophy versus kind of future, and there's some discussion on the boards about this at Cassie Tips listserv. And I would talk to David Dame. He apparently, scientifically speaking, and there's a lot of information out there that many of us know about, and sometimes it's not scientifically based; it's conjecture or a supposed expert. There apparently is some lack of credibility with those who say that a DVD has a very, very, very short lifespan. Years ago we thought it was going to last forever, and then the last couple of years, with all this stuff, it's going to last 4 or 5 or 10 years, and it's gone. Well, it depends on how you treat it and how much you move it about. If your customers are pulling the disc away and snapping, well, then the surface tension is such that it's affecting. There's all those things with how it's treated. If you have serious concerns, and I know you've got some serious archiving, I would give David a call. I would.
certainly wouldn't consider it used by everybody in this room.
Yeah.
We're right now on digital beta cam and straight off Casablanca.
Yeah.
It's a personal thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
I just think it's a personal choice. I used to archive onto digital tape media. Tape is tape. There's dropout. There's, misalignment of different heads and playing back. I can't keep equipment that was good 10 years ago. I can't keep it forever to play back stuff that was shot on that equipment 10 years ago.
Yeah, computer again.
It's just a personal choice. And in some cases, I have re-archived to the newest format time and time again. It's a personal choice. And again, as Chet pointed out, it's how valuable is that information? I've lost footage that just can't be replaced. Being a resident of Las Vegas
just
for
BGA, yeah.
35 years, there's buildings that don't exist there
Go ahead.
anymore because they don't believe in conserving history. They implode everything. That stuff's gone forever.
Should be able to go through
So,
them.
unless I want to buy somebody else's footage, I shot it for a reason, so I wouldn't have to pay for somebody else's.
This one, sources,
It's
should
just
be
a
that.
personal choice.
Yeah, should be VGA.
I'm a big fan
Is
of
it there? No.
There it is. Computer 1. Computer 1 should be.
It's one thing.
Do I not have this in all the way?
It's
Should be, yeah.
Was it F9 or
That may be the computer problem.
Would it work on OS 4?
You want to try that, or should I try computer one?
Sure. Press them. I'm fine. Yeah, it's on computer one.
Okay. So then I should just go back out of this.
Okay, well, this is...
These things are so frustrating. Mine just has an input. I can just, so this probably, so this says computer.
Does this Liberty have Smart Edit 6?
It does. I'm sorry to say. So you get to see it before I talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this around. This is the Casablanca Liberty. Okay, it's based on the, and I'm telling you now so I can pass it around, and then we'll continue on the other stuff. This is the Toshiba M400 Protege, which is a specific line of tablet PCs. Okay, which the distinction is this is not a laptop. This is a tablet PC with specific software designed for a tablet PC. This is a premium product. The two prices for the Liberty, there's a $29.99 and a $39.99, and I have literature for those who are interested. Largely because, again, this is not a Dell corner store laptop. It is one of the few units designed and certified for U.S. military field use. Okay, you can drop this from 4 feet, and it's certified that your hard drive, it will lock on the way down and stabilize your data before it hits the ground. Okay? So your computer might look like trash, but your data is safe. Okay?
What you're saying is you're not going to demonstrate that.
Yeah, I won't be demonstrating that particular feature today. So you can pour a half a cup of coffee over the keyboard, and it is guaranteed to save your data, shut down before any damage, before you have to replace your keyboard. So a full cup of coffee, then you're into science. How much coffee did you say you spilled in there? Okay, that's without sugar, but okay. It is, and again, it runs on the Windows XP tablet environment, okay, which allows you a couple different things. You might notice that the screen is movable, okay. Before I pass this around, please note that the screen moves in one direction only, okay. I'd like to leave tonight with the monitor attached, okay. Going the other way won't work. Okay, so the nice thing is I can sit down and with a client you can sit down there and you can show them, you can look at a project together, or if you're sitting on the bus or the plane or in your hotel room, you can snap it like this, and on the right side is your stylus, and it's a touch screen, so you can edit all by touch screen right on the system. Okay, you can plug in a trackball and a keyboard. You can also connect to a larger screen monitor for those who are doing that. But when you're out and about on the plane, it's very small. I used it last night on the airplane, and it fits well without going, I've been on some plane rides with my wider laptop, and it's like, okay. Because of the tablet PC environment, it is handwriting recognition. It's what they call liquid ink. So it will actually learn to recognize your handwriting and put them into a Word document or other things like that. When it boots up, and this is the power switch. If you wish to see that, you can power off. And when you power back up, it says, do you want to launch in the Windows environment or the Smart Edit environment? Okay, so the hard drive is partitioned with separate partitions for the Windows environment and then Smart Edit. Once you launch Smart Edit, it looks almost identical to maybe what you're used to. Except if you see other things about Smart Edit 6, keep it quiet. Okay. I did some speed tests, and although it's a dual-core processor, I found the speeds to be a couple seconds less, and in some cases a couple seconds faster than my Renomate Plus. So we see it, its primary application being for some of our customers who have need of working in the field, whether it's same-day edits, whether it's editing at a job site, whether they do lots of travel. For most of our customers, we don't see it as replacing their desktop model, but augmenting, though there are some who would differ, and that's fine. The reasons why I say that is because it's a notebook tablet PC, its hard drive size, because of the size of the unit, is relatively modest compared with the other products. It comes in an 80 or a 120 gig hard drive. Okay, with the backup features. I've talked to several customers and explained a lot of stuff, and it looks some people are trading in a unit. They're selling their unit. They're going to buy this. It depends totally on the user's situation.
when it partitions the hard drive for Windows or Smart Edit, how much hard drive space are you actually getting for each of those applications?
That is something that's customizable. We're setting it, I think, this is the 120 gig hard drive, and I think I've got 20 gigs partitioned for Windows and 100 gigs for my Casablanca Smart Edit. So I mean, and that's customizable depending on how much other work you might do. It's, you know, I mean, all the things that you would expect on a high-end portable computer are there. It does have the PCIMC slot for wireless internet. Although it is a wireless internet, I just fired up in the hotel and the airport, and it's so the nice thing is, you create your project in Smart Edit, you burn it to disk transfer as an AVI file because it does come with a dual layer DVD. I power down the unit, power back up in the Windows environment, launch my finished project from the AVI file, and email it to my website, and I'm up and running. So essentially a full creation tool right on your little notebook computer.
With objects you can archive to save to an external hard drive. Can you work directly from a external hard drive with FireWire?
You cannot. It is not DTE or direct to edit. You would have to then restore that storyboard back into this computer or into your Prestige or your Solitaire, and then you could work back and forth between projects.
So if you had 6 hours of video, you have to throw some out to be keeping editing in the field.
Yeah, you could get around, on 100 gig hard drive. Yeah, you're about 6, 7 hours of video content.
Is it a single project?
No, it's like Smart Edit, and you're going to see in Smart Edit 6, one of the features is there's 30 project folders instead of 10. So yeah,
and can you lock in and lock out of Windows if you were to loan it to somebody to do an editing project? Could you be locked out so they can't get into Windows?
I don't believe so. I think what we'd have to do is you'd have to partition the hard drive with. I don't know if that's a question that I'm not sure what the answer would be. You could, yeah. The question is, what if you, is there a way to lock out the Windows capability? Is that right, so? It would only be Smart Edit.
But if you were allowing somebody to edit on, could you?
The only way I think you could do that is in the Windows environment if you put some kind of a security device that they couldn't launch Windows then. That's the other thing. It does. That's the other strange thing. It has
administrator accounts.
Yeah, accounts that they couldn't get into the Windows environment to use it for a Windows device.
I think you can use a password.
Yeah. Well, this goes a step further beyond password. It actually has fingerprint recognition. So there's a device right here. It will actually recognize your fingerprint to launch. So, so I'm going to go ahead and battery life is 3.5 hours.
Not very long.
That I do know.
But you can run it.
Oh yeah, I mean AC adapter, everything else. So yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it around. And again, you're welcome to turn it on, and then you'll see just by using the stylus. Okay. Please note, everybody hold up your hotel pen, please. Okay? This is different. Okay. Those don't work on the touch screen. Okay. So there's the screen right there that says, do you want to go Windows or Smart Edit? And if you wait long enough, it will just launch Windows by itself.
Can you download the information to any external drive?
In Smart Edit 6, you can use any external FireWire hard drive.
Like a Maxter?
Correct. Yeah. Maxter, LaCie, and Stephanie, you get to be the first to touch. There you go. Okay. Now again, as it's passed around, pretend like you're still paying attention to me. I'm going to go ahead and. I did say I would talk about that shift hue feature, which is really cool. This is one of the still patterns in something called Artbacks, which, okay, that's kind of nice. You can do a little title thing on there. But I took that shift hue. Remember we saw before that frog that I changed the colors? So first, let's go ahead and launch. So there's my scene. Let's make let's go. I'll show you how I made that. Go to Pattern and go to. Oh, we have a brand new one too. It's called DVD Backs. If you like some static artwork for DVD menus, I used a cool one the other day. So, Chinese New Year, you can. That one's kind of cool. See how that has the colors there? If I want to go ahead and make a, let's make a 6-second long clip of this. Okay, so there's a 6-second long static shot of that. But when we go in here to special, one of the capabilities is called shift hue, otherwise change color. Okay, shift hue is a part of Effects Pack 6. Shift hue, I'll go to full size, will let you change the color of that as a still shot. So I've just made my own color. But again, if I want to animate it, so it's going to move through the colors. And if I want to do like a loop, I want it to go 360 degrees on the color wheel. So it starts at one color, goes through all these other colors, and by going 360 degrees, it's a full loop. It comes all the way back to its original color. So watch what happens when I take and create this. Starts at the original color, and you're going to see it's actually going to cycle through and go through every single color of the primary colors in the rainbow by doing a color cycle animation. So you can make your own jump backs, right with Casablanca software. And because it's gone 360 degrees, well, you say, well, what use is 6 seconds, Chet? Okay, well, watch. Here's what the finished piece looks like.
You just want us to buy everything you've got, man.
See? Now, the effects pack you may already have.
We may have, but I'm not sure.
There you go. We can take care of that today.
If we don't,
Okay. So again, now the animation cycle is related to the length of the clip. So if you wanted it to go slower, you would have it be like a 20-second long clip, and it would slowly cycle through that. Okay. And because it's a loop, I can add it up there, 3 times in a row. So instead of a 6-second long title, I now have an 18-second long background, because it's going to go all the way through and the audience won't discern where the beginning and where the ending is. Okay? Then I can go ahead and add my title up there. Well, let's go ahead and do that, which is a common question. Okay, Chet, I get that when I add a title, the default setting is 6 seconds long. It covers the whole scene. Okay? Well, let's go ahead and make a simple title and then figure out how we can lengthen or shorten that. So my highest recommendation is always add your title before you go to enter edit text. We're a little short on time, but suffice to say, trust me. You get into some sticky spaces if you go the other way around. Just add your title first and then go to change it. Okay. Now there are archive capabilities. Let's see, what do I got here? There we go. Did my son's wrestling team last week. It was a fun video. Okay. Now, because I've retained that information, I can just go ahead and use either the virtual keyboard or my real keyboard here. And it's a good font for a nice romantic wedding, isn't it? Okay.
I got a question while you're diligently typing there.
Yes.
What causes a given text to become a default where it keeps coming back again and again and again? And how can you get rid of that?
The minute you go to enter edit text without inserting it, you're affecting your default title.
Without inserting it?
Yes. So what you want to do is you want to go to a scene and click this before you do anything else, and then erase everything, delete everything.
Right. Doesn't matter where the cursor is.
Right. Delete all your boxes, delete all your pages. Now I have a clean slate. Now anytime I go to add a title, it's totally empty.
It'll be blank. Okay.
It'll be blank.
All the other ones.
Okay, so I've got this cool title here, and I'm going to put the groom first. Okay, this is where you do kind of your custom work. You're going to set the particular font you're choosing. Font Pack Pro 2. A lot of people have been saying, when are you guys going to come up with some new fonts? We need some new fonts in our titling. December came out with Font Pack Pro 2. It's on the DVDs CDs I handed out today. Some nice fonts that I really enjoy. One of them in particular is Pepe Regular. I don't know what's Pepe Irregular, but it's kind of a nice script, like a handwriting. That's readable as well. And then you can adjust the size. Okay. Then you maybe want to adjust the color. So most people are, comfortable with this here. Avoid the color red in general with titles because it doesn't do good in NTSC video. It's going to bleed on you. Just as going to happen. Okay. The other thing to remember is you want your fonts to be creative, but remember probably the primary reason is they need to be readable. Okay. Sometimes people get really creative with their titles, but you can't read what's on screen. And so you always ask yourself, why are we putting a title? Do we want people to read this? Then make it very readable. Most people would find that fonts that are heavily serifed, especially if it's generation after generation, will start to lose image quality, which maybe is a good thing to put. Then they won't copy your videos for free. But when you select your color, again, you can simply click in an area, or you can find a particular hue that you like, and then you can play around with the darkness and brightness. If you know you want a particular area, like I want a darker green, I just click twice down there and it selects it. So this is my dark green color. And this is your level of transparency. Okay. I do a lot of titles in the 70 to 80% transparency level. It makes your titles a little bit kind of see-through. Now it's not going to look very much on this particular font, but let's come down here and you can see what I'm talking about. It's hard to tell without this pattern too, but you'd actually have a level where any motion behind the titles actually appears to go through there, which is really attractive. Okay? And then a lot of people are not yet aware. You can put in patterns inside your letters. This already is in your system with like operating system 1. Okay? So let's go to something you already have so I can't be accused of trying to sell you on this again. There you go. If you got a DVD player in your system, this is already there. So this will put this kind of a background inside my. Now that's just black and white. I know that's not fun. Well, let's do this. You can colorize it. Let's do a 3-color mix. That's pretty ugly. Let's go. There we go. Okay. So that pattern will actually be inside my font with a gradient color fill. And again, you get that by going to Pattern, selecting the particular software product you might own, or the one that's already included, and then by colorizing it, you can select the colors that it's going to be. Then you have the outline or the edge, and I'm a strong proponent of a little is a lot. So I rarely go beyond 2 or 4.
One quick question. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
With that screen up there, in the little box that has shadow, direction, and color, they put the color key or button in there. Why did they put the color button in the same, menu for outline? Because it seems like that was more difficult to I guess if you click on color and pattern right there where your cursor is, then you go down to the bottom right. No, go back to the other screen. To just get a black color.
Oh, right.
Click that. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and it just seems like it's a 2-step process when they could have made it just as quick as the other one for shadow. Anyway, just a little complaint. Sorry.
On the which part now? On the shadow. You said on the.
See shadow. Shadow has.
Oh, I see.
Shadow has the 3 selections there. One of them is color.
Right.
So if they would have done that, it seems would have been easier. I think.
I agree. The difference, the difference being the reason why they did this is to give you, and it seems odd at first, but it gives you some 3-dimensionality because here I can have a wide border and I can not only put a color but I can put a pattern into that edge. Right. Where with shadow you generally don't want a pattern.
Yeah, but in a border it seems like it's a little bit busy to do that on border. I mean, at least on my system.
I agree. You'd be surprised at the kind of videos that we see. Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you can italicize the font. So no, I totally agree. Your shadow. And this is a little bit over the top for me, the 3D action, but which I always find curious, because I've again, a strong proponent of, as you do your shadows line by line, I always tell people, remember, at least in this universe, we have one main light source in the sky.
Yeah, right.
So all your shadows should come from the same direction. The neat thing that I want to make sure you're aware of as well, when you go to archives, the developers already put some cool choices for you. Watch this. These are already in the system. These are font styles. So if you like a little, like wood, there's kind of a wood look, a wood grain look. Or if you want, gold is nice too sometimes.
Some of those seem a little bit busy and illegible to me.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. Now what I've chosen to do with them, wait till you see Candy Factory though, but with this set right here, I'll say, okay, I like it, but, and the nice thing it does, it brings up all the parameters that they used, and then I can decide to like take that idea, you know, and make it my own. So I can kind of start there, and then we can go back to archives and save it as Chet's Gold. And then by clicking OK, I've saved or archived those particular subsets for me. Okay? Comments, questions, answers? Okay. Line. We have the ability to individually adjust the width of the characters, okay? Which is particularly appropriate if you're doing like, oh, that's good. Let's say for some reason you're not paying attention to, you know, how much screen space you're using, and it's always a good idea to put your titles inset. You have something called the safe scanning and essential area in video, and you want to be careful that your titles are in, because different TVs will play back a signal differently. And so you always put your essential information, particularly titles, in from the edges. Some say with at least 15% on all the sides. Let's say you've got a title and it's a little bit wider than you'd like. You have some capabilities in this. I can adjust the character width, okay, and the space between the characters. So you can play with keeping the same size of the font. You can play with it a little bit there, okay, and that's all under the line capability. And here's also where you have the left, center, and right, the justification for your text. And just in case you forget that this is a German device, okay, this is the active line. Okay. I'm sorry, this is being videotaped. That was probably not, okay. There's not an easy way, no. I'm hoping soon we'll see that, because it's been a long time request.
What was the question?
How you can put a line to underline something. I mean, there's some workarounds to make it happen. Use a box and a rectangle. But let me show you this. This is cool. Let's go ahead and get rid of that active line. And particularly those of you who have done, how many here have done like dance recitals or anything when you got credits like, you know, 10, 20, 60 names on a page? This is an important feature. Is maybe I really like this font. Sorry. And if I wanted all the lines to have this same size and texturing, okay, here's how you get that. You plant your cursor on the line that you want to share. And you click on boxes. Okay, think of this as a box. My titles are in a box. I go to extend it. Again, this is in the notes. I want to copy that font to all the lines. Then I go back one more time and copy this style to all the lines. So it would do that if I had 162 names. Okay. Otherwise, it's what we call line-oriented text. It will only do one line separate from another line, separate from another line. Okay? Questions?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Since the B scroll is animated text, essentially, does it have the tendency to put more pixelization into that text because it's animated, or is that just my system that's doing that?
Yeah, sometimes there will be on some of the effects and some of the fonts rather than others.
Yes.
Some fonts are more of anti-aliased appearance than others appear. Yeah, I would play with a couple of different fonts.
It was using the same font, not animated, using another method of intro into the another
Okay.
scene.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
That's the
With a lot of data in there, it seemed to have that pixelization.
okay. Yeah, yeah. It's those tweens that it's not clearly reproducing well enough. So, a couple of other things you can do with the boxes that's cool. I like to go to minimum size, and so there's my area of titling, and now with boxes I can move that anywhere on screen. So instead of, I can position it, kind of free position it where I want it to go, and then I can just adjust the size so it's centered relative to that box. Okay. And this will put it towards the top of the box or the bottom of that box, depending on what you've got going on. Okay. Max size, again, or visible size, goes out to the whole screen there. And then there's actually a grid, so how you set it off. Okay? You have some capabilities for adjusting where it sits within the system. You can also have multiple boxes on the same screen. And those boxes are independent in terms of their style. So each box can be separate. And you may notice in the titler there's several of the title effects that have the word box, like fading boxes, moving boxes. Okay? The boxes will behave differently, and they'll fade in together. Yes?
I must have skipped that part out. Did you just add a box to put that video up there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, click in the, go into boxes, and then add a new box, and you can see that there's a second. So, and then you can click back and forth to affect them differently. You're welcome.
You have to render the first one and then...
No. You just go add it right here. You can see that I just deleted that other one. Okay.
But both those boxes are going to have the same effects and how they come in and into and out of the scene.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Unless you did the scene, made a scene of it, and then put a different effect on top of it. Correct. Let's say, okay, just because I want everybody in the room to be able to see this, instead of a lower thirds, we're going to do an upper thirds. Okay, so instead of the name of a person, place, or thing, where you commonly see that in a newscast, my favorite color is green. How fortuitous! And you can see that I've got see how the shadow of the T strikes the E. I think it's. I wonder if I've got how I've got my lines. Yeah, the character width. No, it's still there. It's just the design of the font. This worked, yeah, increase the character space. This worked out really well, by the way. This is a font I use for a soccer video, like introducing the players on the team. So, but let's say I wanted to kind of stylize this a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I want a little bit of a piece of art. I want a graphic in there. So what I do is I go to boxes, and you can adjust the box, adjust it a little bit more. By the way, on the Liberty being passed around, the volume control is a little thumb wheel on the front, just so you know. Okay, I'm going to add graphics. Okay, by default, the graphics are always turned off. But as soon as you click that, okay, and then you choose what background goes inside of there. So you can just use the regular color on the system, okay, or you can go into these images, your favorite company's logos. But this is what I like too, is you can take one of these, and by doing a colorize, you can have a gradient fill. So I've got a nice gradient fill. Okay, so from dark blue to light blue. Now the neat thing about that, what I would recommend too, is again by reducing the alpha channel down substantially, you give yourself, kind of an attractive little background scene. Now, because lots of people had a request from us to create something for lower thirds titles, there was a product added last year called Title Backs that gives you graphic art for that titler. For example, there's a basketball court, and you can see that the basketball court is now imparted into. So just, again, depending on what you're doing, it can be a fun thing. But again, you don't have to own any software. It's in the operating system. You can put that in there. Now, as you select different titling effects, you have different capabilities. You know, the motion path, for example, this one lets me adjust the X, Y, and the Z axis of the font, depending on how it comes out. And the appearance, there's this little, what I call a Scrabble tile. I don't like those. And I can have it fade in, what have you. But this will, you know, the letters will. As he says, let's go ahead and actually add a title onto the. Let's see, that works. Better swing, turning off the Scrabble tiles. And again, the neat thing here, you can adjust how much it's going to play around with your title. You can have it as if it's moving inside of a pool, depending on what you're after. A big question in titling is, again, what we started with. I know it goes the full 6 seconds, but what if you only want it on the first 3 seconds? Okay, you clicked on range, and right now it's a full 6. This box is relative to the whole storyboard. If I want it only in the first 3 seconds, I simply take the out point and reduce it to 3 seconds. So now that title will only play on the first 3 seconds of the video. And now this is rendering it, which is close to real time, though a little bit slow. Now, if you want it to extend over multiple scenes, you click that same button and use range, and you're going to scroll it over however long you want it. So we could even make it go over the whole storyboard with everything else going on.
Now, is that introducing a lot of data that could cause a crash if you're going over titles that are rendered? Is that just a fluke that happened to me? I lost 20 hours of work.
Yeah, I do this a lot. So, yeah,
okay.
I would say it's an anomaly. Yeah, that definitely is not something that should introduce an issue for your system.
Okay, as long as those titles are rendered, then it shouldn't be any.
Not at all. No. Questions, comments with basic titling before I throw a couple of steps up. Anybody? Questions with? Okay. And hopefully you saw when I was creating titles, you have the capability. There's 2 places you can archive or save your work. When you're like doing the characteristics, okay, you can archive the style. Now that's not saving the characters. It's only saving how those characters are going to appear to the audience. Okay. If I want to save, like maybe I use a particular title over and over again, that's where you, as soon as you launch titles, okay, as soon as you go to enter edit text, you will see an archive button right here. And when you click on that, you're saving the font attributes, the appearance of the fonts, plus the text. For example, here's credits. Okay? And this is scrolling credits for the school play that I did. It's on and on and on. Now they're not going to appear because I'm not in the right font. I need scrolling vertical.
When you're ready to delete this project,
Yes, sir.
the whole entire thing, is that going to delete your archives too?
No. The archives will stay active only as long as you have, when you do a clean install of the operating system, then it wipes out. So these are on a separate part of the hard drive apart from the project deletion capabilities.
Does this still show how much percentage you have left? Does archives count to that?
Yes, but it's an infinitesimally small amount, relatively speaking, because of the data. Okay. Questions? So archive can be a real cool thing, like your production company, your logo, what have you. You can do some cool stuff with that. The other thing is how do you get the speed, to move? The speed is relative to how much data you have over a given period of time. So I have 2 lines of text, and it's right now spread over 18 seconds. So that's why it's moving so relatively slow. Okay? If we took that and said, well, I don't want to do it over the whole 8, let's shorten that. Let's go 9 seconds. Okay? It's going to go twice as fast. And if you wanted to go even slower, you would shorten either the base scene or the amount of time that that title effect occupies on screen.
Like broadcast television, it's got 300 lines of text in about 3 seconds.
Exactly, yeah. So if it's a legal thing, well, they could pause it on their VCR if they really wanted to read it. No. Okay. Questions, comments, answers?
One thing, because I do a lot of titling, especially for weddings in the end. And one thing I notice, if they're not evenly spaced out, the titling when they scroll, you'll get, as they're coming up the screen, you'll get a little bit of movement in some of them. Have you noticed that at all?
I haven't, but I may not be doing the same kind of...
I screen them out, like when I put them underneath, I go like every 10 lines or whatever I do, 5 or 4. If they're not evenly done, if one's like 4 and one's like 3, then sometimes the other one, as it's coming up, I notice just jerks, like jitters a bit.
Are they all in the same box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same size, yeah. Now, I don't know if you ever run into that, but I have.
So the issue is how are you remedying what you've experienced? Are you're having to... Tell me again how you clear it?
What I'm having to do is I'm just having to even everything out. Like if I go down and I hit OK with five spaces between each title, right? If one's 3 or one's mistakenly 4, then I have to go back and fix it. So
spaces as in on the same line or spaces of lines?
Spaces of lines underneath.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when they're even, then it plays smoothly. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
So it's just something I had to learn the hard way.
Now, when you create a title, if there's a particularly useful one that you really like, here's a, what I got? There's a title on top of that, that graphics thing going on. Okay, if you really, really like that, let's go ahead and shrink that down to a very short period of there, just that one scene. Okay, we'd go ahead and render or create that. Okay, now it's done. We can look at our work. Then, if it were me, I would choose to make a scene of that. The effect plus the scene. Okay? And I'm going to ask it to replace it. So it's done. There's no way now for me to have that undone. I can transition in and out of it. It just gives me a lot more flexibility when I have it as a separate piece. Be mindful when you're doing this, though, that its base scene does not exist anywhere else right now, so I'd want to search it first and create it in case I wanted to change things up later on. I have a backup version of it down here. Okay? A couple different things. There's that double exposure that we saw a little bit ago, using the masks. Come back here.
There's Mickey.
There's Mickey. Some of the other things that are in your system, through fading pages. By adding more than one page, you can have multiple screens of text, and you don't have to separate them out. Okay? It's simply a matter of going into titling and adding that title. Okay? And it's not going to give me here on this effect. There we go. And when you go to pages, you're creating more than one page. So here's one page, then I can insert a second page behind this one, and so on. It will evenly, divide up that time into the number of pages you have. So some people think that's a very useful way for doing an opening sequence or a closing sequence. If you don't want to do scrolling credits, it can be a real neat way to do that. Title Effects 3 gives us some patterns. This is called Wild Effects, big moves. And if you have Title Effects 3, Wild Effects random moves, it'll come in, and if you have pages and pages of text, it'll come in with one pattern and go out with a different one, and just randomly sampling, and come back in with a totally different one. And so if you like a kind of a change up, that's a cool way to do your titles. Here's a neat shot. I really like this. This was in one of our favorite places as we traveled about, is Redfish Lake in Idaho, the Sawtooth. It's beautiful shot. Took this last summer. I moved up to, I'm shooting now on a Sony A1U, which is a single chip HDV camera. It's kind of a, consumer prosumer camera. It's not quite as substantial as the FX1 and some of the other higher end 3 chip models, but for what I do, it achieves the purpose quite well.
Is that 720p?
That is actually, that is 1080i, but it's downscaled into SD. So this, you're actually seeing the SD file. And I thought, well, gee, that particular scene is just screaming for a title, you know. So I just wanted to show you this. I don't like the color. I need to go back and change the color. But one thing that's neat is, you know, the color in the middle, if you take it down to 0 so that the alpha channel is 100%, you have a neat way of just adding an edge and a drop shadow, and you have kind of a keyhole title where the letters come and appear in the middle there. So if you have filter pack will let you take a sharply focused image and go ahead and rack focus or defocus, and then you can do your title as well with that. So, you know, another idea for adding relatively simple and easy titles on there.
What program are you?
Filter pack. Filter pack has a diffused filter look. Here's another shot in the Sawtooth Mountains. Just love that, you know, the rough-hewn log fence with the sawtooths in the background and the wind blowing. And then one of the effects is called fading box. And essentially you just have the ability to create lower thirds, and you can just fade that box in and fade it out when you're done.
I just noticed, Chet, on the left side.
Yeah, I'm in overscan. I'm getting cover border too.
Are you changing it? You didn't want me to see that.
Yeah, it's catching the effects all the way to the edge, so you'll see some of the when the title effect is coming
I've
on.
had trouble with that with boxes. I think I'm trying to fill with putting in some graphics, you know, a bar across and put the title, because sometimes you can't read the title when it's a mixture of things behind it. So I put a box in, partly transparent, but I can't get the box stretched to both sides. Sometimes just one side or the other. Even though it looks like I have it.
Oh, okay.
And then when I finish render it,
You see it on there.
there's a gap on one side.
The only other thing that I've done in that regard is I've taken the box and stretched it out. It'll go all the way on one side and then move it over. But
I think I tried that. I know I've tried that.
Oh.
I don't think it's quite solid.
Oh.
It still leaves a little gap one side or the other.
Make a note to check on that.
If you make the color of your box kind of blend in with the
Right, but still, you shouldn't have
but it's
to
not
go that other step.
Right, it's what it's supposed to do.
If you're looking for something simple, this is called Ticker, and Ticker just lets you do, you know, white text on a black background.
This is called what, sorry?
Ticker.
Ticker?
Mm-hmm. T-I-C-K-E-R. It is part of one of the title effects package.
Which one is it, 3?
It's on the base OS, so I can't sell it to you. It's already included in your unit.
Oh, okay.
Now, I could come up with a special price today for you, though. Just joking. Yeah. Well, it's something you'd think. Yeah, and lots of applications to me that wouldn't necessarily work well over vid. It depends on what you. The only thing that I need to do yet. The only thing I need to do is go to my wife's old typewriter and just pound the keys at the same rate of, you know, would be the total.
Isn't the system in the 5 or the 4? Or?
Should be in the OS from 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's a shot I got of. I can't remember if this is lower or upper Yellowstone Falls. I just wanted to do a kind of a tilt down, and then I found a title effect that I thought worked particularly well, and it's called Falling Letters.
Oh, that's nice.
On that ticker, I think, could you put that in an arrow box and have it scroll across horizontally, so you just, it's like the...
Oh, like and have it move up? That'd be cool. That would be cool. I just was out of our tent one morning in Yellowstone this summer and just got this nice shot of the morning dew. And in Title Effects 3, there's that wild effects small. And it kind of spoke to me of like a water-like appearance. And so I really like that kind of a... some of the, you know, the thermal pools in Yellowstone, by throwing them into Border X. You have a couple, you know, different versions. It's called the chromatic pool. And again, I wanted kind of a watery effect, and so you have one, and you can vary the amount of the motion as it's coming through. And you can see the different colors that I put, you know, inside that piece. And again, that's done by using the pattern. And I think that was either a Video Spice Rack or one of the other transition effects, and doing a 3-color between green, purple, and blue. And it just gives you this kind of a 3D appearance thing going on. Here's that blue box thing I mentioned earlier about the, taking the shot of the grand piano. And what I did is I took a pattern, the music pattern, and put it behind there. And then I went in with a horizontal scroller. And you know how I adjusted the size of the title box earlier? Well, I adjusted it so it would fit right on top of the piano, and this is the final appearance. So just some relatively simple things you can do to just play with your titles a bit. This is one of the clips from the Digital Hotcakes. It's called Home Movie Essentials. They have a whole collection of travel and video fun. And I took that and did the perspective vertical scroller, like the old Star Wars effect, and threw it on top of that, and I thought it just fit really, really well.
Totally smooth.
Now, something that I think you were asking a little bit ago about, if you do one particular title effect and you want another title effect that has a different way of coming in and out, it's exactly what I did with this clip here. This was done using picture-in-picture. Okay? So in picture-in-picture Studio, I had the ability to bring in two separate clips. And this background is the Split X collection. But I kind of went in there with that. These are wannabe bull riders. They're like 14 and 15 and riding these big, yeah. And so I said, okay, and I did two different titles. You're going to see one title come in, and then a second title a few moments later. And what I did is I took this whole scene, threw it up in the storyboard, made my one title, but shortened the duration over the first part of the scene. Made a scene of it and came in and did a second title, but on the last half. And
My wife is going to hate me because she'll never see me again.
The nice thing about a lot of what I'm doing, though, is, like you say, this is kind of my full-time job. That's, a lot of what I like to show is stuff that it isn't render intensive. It's not something that's going to take 16 layers. Relatively simple. You're talking 2 layers there. But the trick is sometimes well, yeah, that's nice, but you happen to come up with the idea because you play with this stuff a lot and you have all the software. So that's why we're going to start to do whatever we can to share more of these little bits and pieces that people from around the country have. Hey, I did this with a title, I did this with a title. Trying to find a central repository. There's a couple good resources already. The Cassie Tips listserv, moderated by Carol Lamb, and then we have the Casablanca Forum. Okay, both of them are free, and I highly encourage you to check it out. The Casablanca Forum is accessible from our webpage. Go to our webpage at www.macrosystem, singular, not plural, .us. And if you click on support, it'll say, there'll be a link that says, how do you go to the Casablanca Forum? You can click there and read all you want. You can search past things, say, give me anything with titling, and you're going to get a bazillion stuff. Or, Magic Light software, or anything like that. If you need or want to post a question for somebody to answer, you actually need to register. There's no fee. It's just, we just want to make sure you're not somebody selling pharmaceuticals. So you'd be surprised how many of those I get a day. So.